All right, so all of you are here today because we're facing a pretty unique challenge. Obviously, COVID-19 is a huge factor in marketing right now. We ourselves are seeing companies pulling their marketing budgets. We're seeing companies spend in different ways. And really, we're seeing them just try to figure out how to navigate and sustain their business when really their business is not operating as normal. So, our goal here is to not necessarily take advantage of the situation, but it's really to identify a need that your company currently has and to make your marketing campaigns run more efficiently. We here at the Marine Ad Network feel that we have a very effective way to target these customers directly in their homes via hyperlocal digital advertising. Today, we're going to discuss two different methods. We actually have a few more that we can do as well, but I'm going to focus just on two that I think primarily will work the best given our current situation. And those two are, the first is venue replay. So we're going to talk about geo-framing past events and places. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is IP targeting through boat owner lists. So these are lists that we can either purchase for you, or these may be lists that your company already has in-house. So let's dig in a little deeper into how these campaigns actually work. The targeting algorithm that we use identifies users based on a 3-point verification method to ensure accuracy. So first, we exist within the IP address. So that is the router that transmits all of the Wi-Fi in a household. Next, the device ID, which is simply just a set of numbers that identifies your smartphone. And every smartphone has a device ID attached to it. And then finally, the physical household address that we're trying to reach. So our assumption is that if you can perform these campaigns similar to how you would perform a direct mail campaign, you can also give attributions similar to direct mail. And that's really the foundation of this entire campaign that we're going to talk about today. And I realize that what I'm going to be talking about in the beginning may be a little bit more um, in the advanced level of digital marketing than some of you guys may understand. Don't worry, we're going to go into much more simpler examples in the beginning, but I did want to kind of get through some of these framework topics, and so then we can move on to the other things. But again, ask questions, please feel free. We don't use cookies for these campaigns. All of the matching, whether it be on the device or the household IP address, we get through around 350 billion different data points that our server receives every single day. And that allows us to do these matching algorithms. And again, I'm going to get into that a little bit later on. But Marine Ad Network is really built on accuracy and delivering ads in an accurate way towards the actual household. We have around a 70% match rate. So that basically means that if we upload any household addresses into our system, we're going to get about a 70% match rate to the IP address of the home. So that's a little bit of overview of the product. So this is kind of the deeper topics and descriptions of what we're going to do. But let's talk about each individual one now. All right, so venue replay. A lot of you guys on the call probably have done a geofencing campaign with us before. And the geofencing campaign is actually when we go in live and we target the actual show or event or something like that. We're not targeting them after the fact. We're actually targeting them while they're attending. Let's use boat show, for example, while they're attending the boat show, walking around. This is a little bit different. So venue replay allows me to query a specific location through what I call geo-framing. So we're able to capture all the devices that exist within a very specific location in a specific time period. And I can be accurate down to the meter square. So we can go down to a very, very small radius, which we're not able to do in geofencing. So the idea here is that once I identify that location of interest, whether it be a boat show, marine supply store, or even a competitor location, I can actually frame that location out on what is very similar to a Google Maps API. And I can pull all the devices that were seen in that location during that time period. So imagine if you could go back now and you could target the Miami Boat Show. You could go back and you could target everybody that was at a marina last month before this pandemic happened in Florida, for example. Or if you could go in and you could target everybody that has been in a West Marine store in the state of Florida over the past 6 months. Or I can go in and I'm a boat broker. I want to go in and target my competitors' locations. Any of those things are possible with Venue Replay. So as you can see, it could be a very, very powerful tool. So how do we find the devices that were seen at that particular location? And again, this comes from those 350 billion points of data that our partner receives every single day. And the software that we use has partnered with over 10,000 different applications where we receive opt-in data to match those specific households. Now, I want to stop and I want to go to the next slide for a second because I get this question all the time. Is this legal? How do you do this? And is this against privacy policies? Are you in line with all that? And the answer is yes. So let me explain opt-in for a second. So what we're doing with geo-framing is people have to be opted into a certain app or website. Well, any app that you're going to download, you're going to be opted in if you're going to use the app. So I'm going to show you this example. Yesterday, I downloaded the new streaming app called Quibi. And as you can see from the screenshot, before I could even access the app, I had to agree to their terms and conditions. And then I took a peek further at the privacy policy, and you can see here I have screenshots. It very clearly states that they're collecting data and sharing this with third-party service providers. These apps typically work in the background, and they're providing data such as location and time. And so this is the data that we are receiving in return in order to run these campaigns effectively. And if you want to know more even about how the apps are sharing your data, I've shared a really good article here from the New York Times. And I love this because it says your apps know where you were last night and they're not keeping it a secret. And if you've not looked into this, it is quite alarming because these apps know where you're at every given moment, unless you have them turned off in the background, which most people don't, because if you have the app, it's very, very difficult to turn some of these services off. So I'm going to leave this. You'll get a copy of this again, and you can go and read the article, but it's very enlightening, and I really encourage you guys to go and read it. So let's go back to how it works. So first, the information we're going to receive is we're going to get a latitude and a longitude, which is the actual location of the individual. Then what's going to happen is we're going to get a device ID, and we're going to get a timestamp. So this is the time that they were actually seen at that location. So this allows me to see this person, this device, that they were actually in that building or that area at that specific time because of that timestamp. So in this case, we'll be looking specifically at business locations, such as marine-based supply stores or past boat shows. So if I was to geoframe a specific business location, I could identify all the devices and I could push that device into our household address records and then mark it to the Wi-Fi of that household or mark it directly to that specific device. So it's super powerful. And then finally, the last step is we go and we buy and we serve digital ads directly into that household Wi-Fi or onto that specific device of the person that was in that location. So now let's move on. I'm going to show you at a more practical level exactly how this works. So let's say we have a particular area of interest that we want to target. So for the sake of this webinar, I'm going to use the Miami Boat Show as an example. So some important things we want to do is first, we need to set the time frames. We need to tell the software the exact dates that we want to target. Like we discussed before, all the devices have timestamps on them. So in this example, we're only interested in people who were on Virginia Key during the Miami Boat Show. So our software allows us to go all the way back to 6 months in the past, okay? So I can go back, 6 months, but I will tell you that the further back you go, the less amount of people you have. So it can be super powerful. So if we want to target everybody that's, again, been in a store over the past 6 months, we can go all the way back to November. So you've captured a lot of people that have done their winter boating in Florida, for example. So we can definitely go back and do all that. And then what happens next is I select my location of interest. So another thing to note here is that I use a polygon to draw out the locations of these. So in geofencing, we're not able to do polygons. It's more of a circle radius. So this polygon allows me to get in and actually be very specific in the areas that I'm going to target. So it's nice that we can get very, very detailed with these polygons. And then what happens is we send a request to our system saying, hey, all the devices that were seen in this time frame, in this location, with this series of latitudes and longitudes, we want that information. And so then our software will then return the addresses associated with those devices, and we can directly digitally market to those households. I will let you know, because a lot of people ask me if they can get a copy of these addresses, and that's not something that's even shared with us. So we don't ever see the addresses. It's all done in the back end. And so that is not something that we're able to provide to you. So if you take a look now at the match results that we have, all right, so out of the Miami Boat Show, so this happened a couple months ago, we're still able to target 6,778 devices. So this is 6,778 people that were actually at the Miami Boat Show during the 5 days of the show. Now, had we done this last month, those numbers would have been a lot higher. Again, it goes down the further out you get. When I ran the Fort Lauderdale numbers, I think I was getting maybe a couple thousand, so it's much lower. But if we would have done this starting a week after the Miami Boat Show, for example, we would have had thousands and thousands more people to target. And then what happens is, so now we have the devices. So now our system goes in and they try to correlate the home to that specific device. As you can see here, we have 5,103 matches to that. So we have 5,000 people's homes that we can directly target into the Wi-Fi of their house. So that's the match rate of that. Again, we can target the map device as well. And they don't necessarily have to be in their homes to do that. We can target them wherever they may be. All right, so that's one example. So the next example we did was we wanted to see how many people were boating in the Great Lakes, specifically Sandusky, Ohio. All right, so as you all know, it's cold in the Great Lakes still, so the weather's not been fantastic. We have a stay-at-home order, which we have been cleared to boat, but we still wanted to see how many people had visited a marina in Sandusky, Ohio over the past few weeks. So we can see here that we have 886 matched boaters, or people that were in the marina from the last 2 weeks, which I think is a phenomenal number to have. I'm floored by this number, actually. So if we put in even more marinas in the Great Lakes area, this number would just continue to increase and increase. These are active boaters, guys. These are people that are on the water right now boating. And so we can take this information and we can go back and we can target directly into their homes for your service, for your parts, for anything that any kind of product that you have to offer. So very, very, very cool. And the last example I'm going to show you is I just popped in, I think this is 5 different West Marine stores in Florida. And so I popped in 5 different addresses for West Marine stores in Florida. There might be more than that, but there are green dots in here. So you can see that I'm able to target 2,800 people in their homes that have visited a West Marine store this month. Or I think I started March 1st. So as of March 1st. So we can go in and directly target 2,800 homes or a total of 3,600 devices, which is pretty powerful. Again, considering most of these stores, at least in our area, most of the West Marines are closed, so, and have been for several weeks. All right, so that's kind of an idea on venue replay. So this can again be used for competitor locations. It's huge. We have a lot of companies that use this to target competitor locations, whether it be a competitor marina, whether it be a competitor boat broker, any of those things. We've used this a lot in the past with targeting people that have visited West Marines, boat owner warehouses, any of those things. We can target marinas, anything like that. So really the sky is the limit here. As long as you have a physical location that you want to target, we can go in and we can pull all the people that have been in that location during that specific time. All righty. All right, so this is the second product that I want to talk about. So this is IP targeting through lists. So the difference here is that we're not using a store location. We're not using a past event. This, we're actually using a list. So we can get these lists in one or two different ways. All right. The first way is we can get it by you providing us a list of people that you want to market to. So very similar to direct mail, right? I can take that same list, I can scrub it through my system, I can get a list of IP addresses, and I could digitally market to them directly in their home based on that IP address match. That's the first way. The second way is that we can purchase the list for you. So we work with a company called InfoLink, sorry, you guys are on the call, InfoLink, and we tell them exactly what criteria we want, and they provide us back a list to use as a one-time list. So it's basically a list rental, and we're able then to scrub that list and serve directly into the homes of the boater. And I'm going to get in a little bit more detail on the next slide on the list purchase abilities. So as you can see here, this is an example of actually a campaign that we've done in the past. So first step is we're going to determine our target options. So for this example, they wanted to target yachts over 50 feet in Broward County, Florida. So we've went in, we've gotten our list of everybody that we want to target. We take that list, we put it into our server, and it spits us back out a list of matches and IP address matches. From there, we go in and we're able to serve digital ads directly into the homeowner, as you see there, of the person with the 50-foot or bigger boat in Broward County, Florida. Super powerful. This is an example of what the ad would look like here. This is a weather app, for example. So this is how the ad would be if someone was surfing the weather app in their house and they lived in this house and they were on their Wi-Fi or device, and they would see this ad for your product. All right, so here are some of the variables that we can do when we purchase a list. We can purchase by boat brand, by boat model, by length of boat, by Euroboat. And then these are just some examples of some of the past few lists that we've done, a few campaigns that we've done. So we had a client that was interested in reaching all the trawler owners that had trawlers between 20 and 60 feet in Baltimore. So it was a very small city radius that they wanted to target. So we were able to provide a list to them, and in return, we were able to serve digital ads directly into the homes of every person that owned a trawler owner or trawler between the sizes of 20 and 60 feet. The next one is sport fish boats. So we had a client that wanted to target sport fish boat owners in Southeast Florida. So we were able to pull a list of everybody that owns a sport fish boat between 16 feet and 45 feet in that Southeast Florida market. And then the last one here is nautique owners. So this particular customer wanted US wide. So they wanted to know everybody in the United States that had a nautique boat over the size of 23 feet. And they wanted to make sure that they were 2015 and newer. So they didn't want anybody that had an older nautique boat. So I listed these examples out because I want you to see just how powerful this can be and how you can really go in and play around with these numbers and these variables to really get the perfect list for your company. And then once again, that list is done. We go in, we scrub it against our system, and we're left with a number of matched houses and matched IP address ranges where we can go in and target directly into the router of that home. Okay, so I feel like I need to talk a little bit about what the difference is between geofencing and geoframing, because we do a lot of geofencing at the Marine Ad Network, and we love geofencing, and it's super effective during boat shows. But right now, folks, we aren't having boat shows, so we have to think of other solutions and other things to do outside of geofencing right now. And again, we cannot geofence someone's home. It's just we cannot get the radius down small enough to do that. So one, customers must have location services turned on and activated with geofencing. So when you are scrolling through Facebook, you always get those pop-ups that saying, you need to have location services turned on to get the full effect of this app or whatever. So you got to make sure you have your turned on. I will tell you that 99% of people keep their location services turned on. Every now and then, you get people that turn them off, but I really don't see a big problem with that. With geo-framing, customers just must visit the website or app that serves third-party ads, and 90% of websites and apps do this. Um, so again, they're pretty similar there. The next one is geofencing requires a hard opt-in to reach the customers. So you must share your location with a specified app, like Facebook, for example. Geo-framing, it's a passive opt-in. So you're agreeing, like the slide I showed you before, where you're agreeing to the terms and conditions of that website or app when you sign up. So it's not something that you're having to go back in and do. The next thing is with geofencing, we use cell towers to triangulate location. So the accuracy is limited to the cell tower's proximity. Again, I don't really run into any problems with this, mainly because when we're doing geofencing, it's typically in very urban cities. So we typically don't have a problem with our proximity. Every now and then when we do fishing tournaments that are in the middle of nowhere, we kind of run into this problem, but for the most part, we don't have a problem with that. But that does allow us to not get as small of an area. So again, with geoframing, we use latitude and longitude to target down to 1 square meter. So we can really get down to a much, much smaller radius when we do geoframing. Geofencing is limited again to real-time ad serving. So that's just if they're at the boat show, they actually have to pull up that weather app, or they have to get on Facebook to scroll through or something like that. Unless we're doing retargeting, we're not reaching them after the show. So this is real-time ad serving. And geo-framing, this is post-visit. So they don't have to click on an ad. They don't even have to see your ad at the boat show in order for us to go back after and serve them ads. And again, like I said, we can go back 6+ months. Not that I recommend that, but it is an option. And the last difference that I'd like to talk about is that ads served on apps, websites, and social media with geofencing. Social media being the biggest one, because when we do geofencing campaigns, that's probably our best app that we use, obviously, is Facebook, because so many people are on Facebook during boat shows. And so with geoframing, that's something that we can't use. We can't use social media. So your ads are only going to be served on apps and websites like weather.com or cnn.com, something like that. So that's the biggest difference between the two. Okay, so how do we track the ROI of our campaign? This is the most important part of the whole thing, because if you're not tracking, folks, you have no idea the success of your campaign. So we recommend setting up conversion tracking. And a lot of people think that when I say conversion tracking, it has to be a purchase, but that's not necessarily the case. So we could purchase, or we can definitely track purchases, but we could also track cell phone or click to calls, for example, if they're on their cell phone. We can track lead form submits. We can track email signups if they sign up for an email newsletter. So we can do any of those things to track conversions. But what the nice thing about this is, it's going to allow us to go back at the end, or go back after a month, for example, and we're going to be able to see that, okay, our landing page is not working because we're not getting any lead forms, or we're not getting any purchases. So we really need to take a look at how our landing page looks, or what we're doing wrong. Is our website just not attractive enough to get people to do a call to action? Is there not a call to action that's properly laid out? So there's lots of things that we can use this for. So yeah, it may, after 2 weeks, we might be like, okay, we're not getting any conversions. There's usually a reason why you're not getting any conversions. And so this is something that I work with a lot of clients on, and I can give you some great ideas on some ways that you can track conversions, even if you don't have an e-commerce store directly linked to your website. And I know everybody's question also is probably going to be, um, how do you quantify your return on investment? So again, you're going to see conversion tracking, but we're also going to provide you with a reporting dashboard. So that reporting dashboard is going to show you how many impressions that we served, how many people clicked on the ad, how many conversions you had. It's going to show you the websites where your ads were shown. It's going to show you a breakdown of each of your banner ad sizes and which banner ad is performing better. Because we run into this a lot as well, that one particular banner ad size may perform phenomenal, but your other ones tank. So we need to look at, why is that particular banner ad size not performing as well? We're going to take a look at geographic stats in that. We're going to show you, if you're running US wide, what states are performing better than other states. Do we need to change our message up based on geographic location? We also going to break down age. We're going to break down gender if we can. So as much information that we can provide back to you, we're going to provide to you in the form of a reporting dashboard that you'll have a link to, that you can go directly to that reporting dashboard um, and view that at any time. Okay, so how do you get started? So the first thing we have to do is we have to figure out our targets. So again, we talked about, do we want to geo-frame or do we want to target by list? And we can work with you to figure out the best way to target people. Do we need to go and do we need to purchase a list for you? Okay, well, let's narrow down that list and see, to get the best possible audience for the particular product you're trying to promote or the particular campaign you're trying to promote. And then determine your budget. Budget will be able to tell us, once you have a budget will be able to tell us exactly how many people we're going to be able to target for this campaign. If you have a smaller budget, we need to make sure the list is smaller, or the places that you're targeting is smaller. So maybe you can't target every West Marine store in the United States. Maybe we have to narrow that down to only West Marine stores in Florida. So we can work with you to figure out, based on your particular budget, how many places that you're going to be able to target. Because a lot of people come in with a very small budget and they want to target US wide, and they want to get a list that's 50,000, 100,000 people long, and it's just not going to work. Step 3, develop banner ads to use. And this is such a big thing, and it really can make or break your campaign. We see banner ads coming in all the time that really don't even have a call to action or don't use clear images and things like that. So it's very, very important to develop banner ads that are very eye-catching and have a clear call to action. I know we have a very large group here of big companies, and we also have a lot of small companies on here. So the big companies, agencies produce phenomenal work. But if you have trouble creating banner ads, or you don't have an outside resource to do that, we would love to help you. And so we're running a special right now that if you sign up for a campaign by this Friday, we'll create a full set of banner ads for you to use full of charge. So that's just something to keep in your back pocket. The next step is, and this is always where the bottleneck happens, is setting up conversion tracking. A lot of people use WordPress for their websites. WordPress sometimes can be a little limited in terms of how we can set up the conversion tracking. Usually we try to use and install a Google Tag Manager. But again, I can work with you on a one-to-one basis with conversion tracking and helping you set up. And 9 times out of 10, we can figure it out. It might take a little bit of time, but typically we can figure out how to get something tracking on your website. And the last step is we launch the campaign. It typically takes, Fallon is probably going to kill me that I have this in here when it says this can be done in as little as a few days, but really we can't. It just takes a few days for ads to get approved through our system and things like that. So, it is a quick turnaround, depending on how many campaigns we have getting started in any particular time. But Fallon, don't kill me. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm just addressing a few frequently asked questions here, and then I will open it up to any other questions. So where are the ads served? Because I really didn't touch on this very much when I was talking about that. So there's like millions of sites online. Most of the websites where households navigate. So weather apps are huge. I would say 75% of our traffic comes from weather, news, and sports apps. So that's where most of our traffic comes from. And a big thing is that we turn off game sites, we turn off pornography sites, and we turn off dating sites because we find that a lot of our competitors out there, they continue to use dating sites and stuff like that, and I feel like it's a waste of money, um, to be on a puzzle app that is for a 2-year-old, but they happen to be using the boater's phone at that time. So all of that gets turned off. We try to only use premium websites. Every now and then again, we get things that slip through, and these apps are very sneaky, and they change their names and they add different layers to it so they can get back in our flow. But we turn them off immediately when we see them again. But so that's where your ads would see. And again, I already talked about this. What kind of reporting will I get? We provide a reporting dashboard for you that you'll get. What kind of click-through rates do you see? All right, so I just put kind of an average. So 0.2 to 0.4 is pretty common, which is well above industry average for click-through rates. Now, that being said, that number is all over the place depending on what your ads look like. So we have some people that run really cool GIF HTML5 ads, and their click-through rates are well above a 0.4. We have some that are running video; those are in the 1%. And then we got some that are really bad banner ads that are running down on the 0.1%. So this is definitely an average. But I do get that question very frequently, so I wanted to make sure I just address that now. How do we measure the success of a campaign? So we measure the success here through conversion tracking. Now, a lot of times we still have companies that don't have access to their websites. And I know that sounds crazy, but really it happens a lot, especially in bigger companies. Bigger companies don't want to place another conversion pixel. Bigger companies, maybe based internationally, and they just don't have access to their website. And so we got to play around with things then a little bit. And so what we do in that particular case is we go in and we use Google Analytics. We work with you to set up your Google Analytics correctly so we can track things that way. We also can track click-through rates, things like that. So we'll work with you to get your KPIs in order to measure the success. But if you don't have a way to measure the success, there's no way to scale this. Because really what we want you to be able to do is we want you to be able to rinse and repeat. So if I can show you that you can spend $5 and make 50 in return, then that's what I want to do. But I can't do that unless we set things up to measure. And then once we get that magic number in place, then we just keep rinsing and repeating, and we can keep growing that. Can animations be used in ads? Absolutely. And I can't stress this enough that animations will definitely have much higher CTR rates, click-through rates. So that being GIF ads, HTML5 ads. I say video is more expensive, so just know that, but video ads definitely as well will garner much higher click-through rates. But if anything, we charge the same rate for a GIF ad, which is an animated, goes through like three different slides. And so, it's the same rate as it is with a static price. So you might as well take advantage of being able to get more message out there about your particular company or product. And then how is pricing structured? So we price all of our campaigns on a CPM basis. So that's cost per 1,000 impressions. So for every 1,000 times your ad is shown on a website, you're going to be paying a flat CPM rate. And so that's how we charge. We don't charge by click. We don't charge by conversion or anything like that. All right, we are at the end of our presentation. So now I think it was almost 45 minutes exact. So Now I'm going to open it up for questions. I will stay here until all the questions are answered. Eric's here as well. He's the main sales guy here at the Marine Ad Network. Fallon is also on the call. So she kind of is our head campaign manager here at the Marine Ad Network. So she can also help answer questions if need be as well. So Eric, do you want to answer this? What would be a minimum budget you would think is needed to run such a campaign? Someone asked.
Okay, this is Eric again, and a minimum budget for a campaign, generally what we see is about a $2,000 budget, and we can help you to determine exactly what your targets are to be able to maximize those funds. But it really depends on the number of targets you'd like us to go after, but generally we start our campaigns with about a $2,000 budget for a digital ad campaign. Other questions we have?
Geo-framing also in Europe, and unfortunately, no, we do not. This service is not available in Europe. We do have some other alternatives though that we can use, but the particular one with Geo-framing is not available outside the United States.
Yeah, Geo-framing is not. However, we've run multiple campaigns on a geofencing basis at a lot of different European shows. Dusseldorf, we did the Sanctuary Cove show down in Australia. So geofencing is available globally, but not geoframing. Next question.
Same thing. Can you serve Canada?
Yeah, same thing with Canada. Since we're getting the information from our friends down at InfoLink, it's US-based information. So geoframing would not be available there.
But if they have their own list.
Yeah. If you have your own list, we're happy to serve those ads based on your information. But a geofencing campaign is certainly available. We've done the Vancouver show, the Toronto show, a couple different sailing events up there as well, I believe. Next question.
Is this being recorded? I was on a call with a client.
Yeah, this is absolutely being recorded, and we're going to email this off to everybody who registered for the webinar today. We'll probably get it off to you by sometime tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, what company what was the company you work with to get the list? InfoLink? Yes.
InfoLink is correct. That's where we use, that's our resource for the data that we use to target specific homes based on the boats that they own. Okay, any other questions out there that we might be able to help with? Because before we do go, just a couple other quick house cleaning messages here. Again, my name is Eric Kyle. You see my email address, my phone number, my office number there as well. Feel free to contact me if you'd like to get some more information, a free proposal on how to run a campaign and what the cost would be specifically for your digital campaign to run a targeted campaign like this. We are running a special today that for anybody who's on this webinar, we will create your banner ads for you for free. That's a $250 value. There's about 6 or 7 different standard banner ad sizes, a couple different mobile ad sizes that we will create for you. If you choose to sign up or learn more about the campaign by this Friday, obviously the campaign will run in the future, but if we can have that dialogue this week, then we will definitely put you in for free banner ad creation if you'd like to utilize those services from us. But again, at this point, guys, all we really want to be able to do is get you the information that you need about being successful in running your own digital campaign with the Marine Ad Network, and that's where I come into play. If you communicate with me that you'd like some more information, I'll be happy to email you off a presentation, specific proposal based on what your needs are, and we can show you what we can do. So any other questions out there?
What endemic websites do you deliver ads to?
You want to answer that one?
Hold on, I'm just reading this other one. Okay, Charlie, I'm sorry, I'm looking at yours. I was reading somebody else's. What endemic websites do you deliver ads to? So are you talking mainly boating websites? Or are you just talking in general? Boating websites, gotcha. We deliver to a lot of boating websites. We work with obviously Great Lakes Scuttlebutt, but we also work with like Marina Life Magazine. We work with Southern Boating. We work with lots of different websites.
Yeah, we
If you
actually,
check our website, we have marinanetwork.net. We do have a sampling of the websites that we work with there.
there are 100 marine specific websites that we have direct relationships with so that we can actually buy their unsold ad space prior to it even going out to the exchanges like Google. So we've got about 500 million impressions that we can serve in the marine space alone on a monthly basis. And if we can't buy directly from them, because we don't have a relationship with them, chances are their unsold ad space is going to be going through an exchange that we can buy from. There are some out there that just absolutely don't want to run ad network ads, and so be it. You're not buying titles from us, you're buying demographics. So if you let us know the specific demographic that you're looking for, I'm sure that we can not only target them, but also show you a great response.
Okay, let's see here. I think right now that's it.
Okay, any additional questions that I might be able to help anybody with? This is a perfect time to do this. We've still got a few more minutes for the call to be within the hour, so we're here to help with anything that you might have.
Oh, thanks, Emmanuel. I hope you're doing well in Italy. We've been
Yeah,
thinking about you.
Emmanuel, who's one of our partners over there in Europe. Fantastic to see you on the call. Thanks so much for the message. Um, we hope that you and Susan are doing well. Your families are all safe, and our thoughts and prayers are going out to you guys. I just saw a question here. What is the minimum ad purchase? Again, we want to work starting at about the $2,000 range for a campaign. Whether it's running a display campaign or a hyperlocal campaign or the geo-framing campaigns. We have specific packages for geo-fencing that start as low as $750 based on the size of the show. So we can go as small as 750, and we've done some campaigns over $30,000 to geofence a specific campaign. So it's really we're just simply buying this space on your behalf. So you really are the ones that are setting the budgets, and we're the ones not only running the campaign, but managing it, optimizing it, and fully reporting on the campaign for you. But we want to make sure that you're putting enough budget out there to get the proper amount of response that you want to make it worth your while. And that's why we recommend a minimum of $2,000 campaign based over whatever period of time frame you want those ads served. Going on to the next question.
How long does it take to get set up and start running a campaign?
Great question, Ian, and glad that you're on the call, my man. Generally, what we end up seeing is that once we decide with the client what the budget is, what the targets are, we have all the information in place. Then we get to work on the ads themselves. It takes a couple of days to get the ads tested or propagated. Once that happens, we start immediately. So if anybody on this call wanted to start a campaign next week, come Monday, we can do that. Fallon, don't shoot me, but let us know as early as you can, and we can turn these around fairly quickly, guys. And if you've got something that's coming up here in the near future, like a fishing tournament, boat show, or sailing regatta, or anything on a global basis for a geofencing campaign, once we get the all clear, we're happy to get those running. But as far as starting a campaign right now, I hate to say take advantage, but while people are in their homes, quarantined in their homes, and you want to reach that specific demographic with your message, just a few days, guys. We just need to know what you want to do and what budget you want to put at it, and we'll be happy to perform the campaign for you. Any other questions out there, guys?
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Marilyn.
Thank you, Marilyn and Mark. We appreciate the good comments.
I think we got them all. There's just a lot here. I got to make sure. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, our friends over at Quantum have used our services before, and I believe they're very satisfied with us. And he did say to use them as a reference. So if you know Mark over at Quantum, he can vouch for us. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, and also Mark wants you to buy a sale from him. Guys, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the call today. I greatly appreciate it. We are always available 24/7 via email, phone, text, smoke signals, whatever you need to communicate with us. If there's anything that we can do to help you through this tough time, we are here and to help meet any of your marketing needs in the future on the digital side. Please feel free to reach out anytime. We look forward to working with you, and God bless. Anything we can do anytime, just keep us in mind. Thank you.